tonight. McKnight tonight.
It's wrong again.
McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight.
I've seen that since university.
Fun, insightful interviews from a watchdog producer. McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight. Here comes McKnight tonight.
Welcome to McKnight Tonight. Now, here's Rob McKnight.
Hello everyone and welcome to McKnight Tonight for this Monday, the 11th of August 2025. Did you know it's Play in the Sand Day? So whether you're a kid with a bucket and spade or just looking for an excuse to wriggle your toes in the sand, today's the day to do it. Go to the beach. Except it's 9 o'clock at night, so it's too late to go to the beach and you're watching McKnight Tonight, so you've missed your chance, so I'm glad I brought it up. All right. Don't forget we love your feedback, so make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section of this video on Facebook and YouTube, but we do prefer YouTube. And the link to buy the new McKnight Tonight mugs, it's there, it's public, it's on the YouTube page under the shopping tab. Get in quick. So actually, they are going out the door fast. All right, coming up tonight, the voice judge, Kate Miller-Heidke, joins me to talk talent, TV and the pressures of performing. New South Wales could soon be making public swearing perfectly legal. Is that a good or a bad thing? In Rob's Rant, yes, it will be here. I know you love it. The right to protest and when it goes too far. And in our back-end quickie, a sporting mascot gets the fright of their life when a real bear crashes their fishing trip. All right, let's get into our hot topics. Australia will formally recognise Palestine as a state, but only if Hamas plays no role in governing it. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese made the announcement today.
Today I can confirm that at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September, Australia will recognise the state of Palestine. Australia will recognise the right of the Palestinian people to a state of their own, predicated on the commitments Australia has received from the Palestinian Authority. We will work with the international community to make this right a reality.
I'm not really sure how they'll do that, but I'll come back to that. The move will be formally confirmed at the United Nations General Assembly in September. That will align Australia with countries like Britain, Canada and France who are moving in the same direction. The PM had already advised Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the decision, who referred to the possibility at an earlier press conference overnight. Have a look at what he said.
Well, the prevailing assumption in this is that the problem that we have with the Palestinians is the absence of a Palestinian state. And if they were given a Palestinian state, they would stop the efforts to destroy the Jewish state. But the Palestinians were offered a state many times, including in the partition resolution, and they turned it down. They were offered statehood by my predecessors with lavish concessions. They turned it down because the Palestinians are not about creating a state, they're about destroying a state. That's why they opposed the Jewish national movement to create a state called Zionism. They opposed it before the inception of the Jewish state, and they've opposed it since. They've opposed it when they had the Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, and Gaza in their hold. They didn't say, let's create a state there. They didn't say that. Because again, their goal is the destruction of a state. It defies imagination or understanding how intelligent people around the world, okay, including seasoned diplomats, government leaders, and respected journalists, fall for this absurdity. It's so easy to verify.
Now, Netanyahu made that statement to an ABC journalist as part of a rare press conference with foreign media. He made that before the PM made his announcement this afternoon. He had previously been told of Australia's decision. This afternoon, though, the Israeli ambassador to Australia, Amir Maimon, he slammed the plan in a statement posted on X, saying, "Peace is built by ending terror, not rewarding it. By recognising a Palestinian state, while Hamas continues to kill, kidnap and reject peace, Australia undermines Israel's security, derails hostage negotiations and hands a victory to those who oppose coexistence." He added that by recognising a Palestinian state now, Australia elevates the position of Hamas, a group it acknowledges as a terrorist organisation, while weakening the cause of those working to end violence and achieve genuine, lasting peace. This is postulating, because the prerequisite for Australia actually recognising Palestine as a state involves Hamas giving up power. Hamas aren't going to do that. And what if Hamas is elected again in the next elections? There is no sign Hamas is prepared to give up power. There are divisions unresolved. Recognition could be symbolic without real governance change. Now, obviously, Australia, France, Britain, and all those are hoping that external pressure and incentives will make Hamas step aside. But come on. Do you really think a terrorist organisation is going to step aside and say, well, Australia is willing to recognise Palestine if we step aside? Now, we're not allowed to fight back against Israel, because you've got to remember, Hamas believes in its own religion is the only religion, and it wants to see an end to the state of Israel. That's why we saw the events of October 7. Now, Hamas is different to the people of Palestine. Hamas is an extreme religion, but they are essentially the people ruling Palestine at the moment. Now, I just have to wonder, is there a diplomatic opening Australia is banking on? Because I can't see it. And there's been lots of criticism from all kinds of people. You know, there's criticism that we're going against America. I don't think America would. Donald Trump's going to do what Donald Trump does, right? But there have been a lot of times we've come close to a peace deal, and at the last minute, it's always been rejected. Now, control of Gaza since 2007 has been taken by Hamas. They seized control of the territory from the Palestinian Authority in a violent split. Now, what happened is they created two rival governments, PA in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza. They refuse to recognise Israel. Now, there has been softening language, and in 2017, there was softening language to accept a state on 1967 borders. Now, this is the other thing, the borders. If Australia and the rest of the world accepts Palestine, what are the borders? Because Hamas still rejects Israel's legitimacy and maintains an armed wing. Now, PA, Hamas's rift, multiple reconciliation attempts have failed. Hamas shows no signs of disbanding or ceding control of Gaza's security forces. There's just not even a light over yonder. Now, many nations, including Australia, demand a Palestinian government without Hamas involvement before recognition or aid increases. But let's have a reality check. Without Hamas stepping aside or merging into a unity government under PA control, recognition is going to be purely symbolic with no impact on the ground. These are the realities. We can look tough, but it's not going to change a damn thing. And Netanyahu, he's going all in now. Up against the world, he is going all in to try and get rid of Hamas. And we do need to remember, there are still hostages missing from October 7. When I was producing Spotlight and all this happened, over the summer season, it didn't get a lot of publicity because it was the summer season. And I did a story about the October 7 events. The Israeli government had brought some family members of those taken hostage over to Australia. And there was one lady, Iris, who still stands with me, and the reporter, Sarah Greenhalgh, she interviewed her, and her name was Iris. And her son had been kidnapped, and we actually had world exclusive footage of that kidnapping. Anyway, we did the interview, the story aired, and I think it was early the following year that we found out her son had been killed. Now, he actually was killed by Israeli forces, unfortunately, who were going into a place where people were being held, but there was a miscommunication anyway. He unfortunately died. And I always think about her because that's the human side of what's going on here. Now, is Netanyahu doing all the right things? No, I don't think so. And I think he's using an opportunity to really go in hard. But there are still people missing. And how far do you take it? This is nice what Australia did today, but it won't change anything. All right, moving on. And what the New South Wales could soon make public swearing perfectly legal. The Legalised Cannabis Party's Jeremy Buckingham has introduced a bill to scrap the state's offensive language law. Right now, using coarse words in public can technically land you with a fine of more than $600 or even jail time. But obviously, prosecutions are rare. All jurisdictions in Australia, except the ACT, still have laws criminalising offensive or disorderly language in public. In South Australia, maximum penalties can hit $1,250 or even 3 months imprisonment. Victoria and Queensland allow for up to 6 months in jail in severe cases. And in Western Australia, penalties can go beyond $6,000 for serious matters taken to court. Buckingham says the New South Wales reforms would stop police wasting resources on swearing cases and reflect modern attitudes, so long as the language isn't threatening or harassing. Sort of makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, let's be honest. We've seen so much video of police swearing. There was a documentary on the ABC, like I want to say in the late 80s, early 90s, shot in and around Redfern. And one of the headlines I remember at the time was the fact that New South Wales police in that series on the ABC were swearing, and the hypocrisy of then arresting people for swearing. And I think that even happened in that series where they said, don't swear, I'm charging you with that. And, you know, it is a fact of life. The thing is, what I don't like is that I'm a swearer. I've been known to drop the occasional bomb occasionally. I'm loving that. I've been known to drop the occasional F-bomb. Never at home, though. In fact, Jasmine didn't think I swore for the first 13, 14 years of her life. I don't know how I did that. But the problem I have is that in public, while swearing isn't like it used to be, I don't like it when people swear around kids. And you see that especially with kids in high school. They don't care who they swear around, but I think if I've got my kids, you know, if I've got 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 13, but 8 and 10-year-olds, people don't take into consideration that you shouldn't be swearing around kids. But at the end of the day, no one's getting prosecuted and nothing's happening. So this law sort of makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section of this video, and we'll get to your feedback soon on McKnight Tonight. Okay, now it's time for Rob's Rant, and tonight let's talk about protesters. Because in a democratic society like Australia, we have the right to protest. It's one of the many freedoms we enjoy. But where do we draw the line? And what is the right of protesters who restrict the rights of others? Recently, hundreds of thousands of Australians have taken to the streets to protest in support of Palestine. That's fair enough. That's their right. But have a look at what happened when one person decided to carry an Australian flag.
The atmosphere turning volatile when an outcast strode into the pro-Palestine crowd, hoisting an Australian flag. As he paraded it through the circle, the mood shifted. Chants turning to shouts as public order response officers moved in and pulled him from the chaos.
Now, I'm going to say the guy was asking for trouble, taking the Australian flag in there at what was a pro-Palestinian protest, but that doesn't mean he deserves to be punched for showing the flag of this country. Why? What is so wrong with having an Australian flag even at a pro-Palestinian march? What is the issue with that? And we actually saw some protesters burning the Australian flag.
Well, the protest was peaceful. There was a small breakaway group which did cause some trouble, including burning the Australian flag.
Now, do you think you'd be able to burn the Hamas flag in Palestine? We all know the answer to that. We all know the answer to that. Now, I think there is a major problem when in this country you can't show the Australian flag. And I say it again, he knew he was going into trouble. But why is it trouble? Why is it trouble to have the Australian flag? And I'm not getting into all the Indigenous issues and the, you know, because people will say, well, that's not the Australian flag. It is the Australian flag. This is the nation we live under. That is the Australian flag. We are one nation under one flag. And by the way, just so we know, I am all for changing the flag to incorporate Indigenous culture. I don't have a problem with that. But until we do, that is our flag. All right. So we have the big planned protests, okay? So when we're talking about protests, we'd show a group of people, they banded together to make a point. So fair enough. Walk across the Harbour Bridge, go and protest, do all those things. But then we have individuals or really small groups who are just annoying.
You're just yelling at a Jew. You can leave the show if you want. This is not an internet comment section. I know that you're mistaking my show for a YouTube video.
What does that achieve? Why does someone think they have the right to interrupt a performance because she happens to be Jewish? Is she involved in this war? Or is her crime being Jewish? You know, I remember when there was a protest at the Carols by Candlelight a few years ago, and I said, this is completely inappropriate. And people said, oh, you're happy with children dying in Palestine, are you? No, I'm not. But it doesn't mean we can't have events here and escape the problems of the world for an hour or a night. You don't have the right to interrupt other people's entertainment. You just don't. But there's all forms of protests. Over the weekend on social media, I came across these nutters who seem intent on stopping journalists from just doing their jobs.
It's about time you stop telling lies to the Australian people. And, what's this story about? What's this story about, pedophiles or Daniel Andrews selling out the Australian government?
That's all right, I'll hop here. I'll hop right here. How's that? How's that?
You have a good one too. Where are you off to? Come on, you can do your story here. You can do your story here too, can't you? Come on. We're just here Australian people want to have a say as well. Go on. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Just keep going, we'll just keep following these.
Tell the truth. Come on. Tell the truth to the Australian people. How far are you going to go away? How far are you going to walk away? Because you're not going to get your interview here without us here. So, would you tell us about the lies you spread to the Australian people, please, love? What's your name, hey? Oh, where you going? Where you going? Hey! You want to do look out for the puddle. You want to do a fucking story for the Australian people. Why don't you stop telling lies to the Australian people, Channel 9?
People don't get tested.
You won't get a story around Parliament now because all you do is tell lies to the Australian people. You sell out an agenda by a pharmaceutical company. Who pays your wages? Is it Pfizer? Or is it the Daniel Andrews sell out to the...
Believe what?
Oh, yes, I do believe. Do you believe in the vaccine?
It's mRNA. It's not even a vaccine.
Yes.
It's gene
Tell
therapy.
us, Mr. Person who's feeding bullshit to the Australian people. Tell us your version of what you think of the vaccine.
What do you think of the vaccine?
Come on. What do you think of the vaccine?
Do you think it's good?
What do you think of everything this government's doing?
Do you think
Selling out.
Forced vaccinated? Should we be forced vaccinated, do you reckon?
Where are you going? I thought you wanted to do a story.
Pure harassment. Pure harassment. Now, the thing is, they're not going to be able to, Channel 9's not going to be able to do anything about that. They haven't broken the law, but it is harassing. And they do it because they can, because they think the media force them to take COVID medicines and all that kind of stuff. You know, this whole COVID thing, people were doing what they thought was right at the time. Whatever your beliefs are, people were trying to do the right thing in an unknown time. But that's a whole other argument for another day. I think there's a point to protesting when you gather as a large group to make a point about something. But I even had one video that I'm not going to play, but it's a woman just going into a restaurant and banging a pot, just annoying people. And of course, you've got those protesters who glue themselves to the road and the ones who throw painted art. Here's my thing. You know how the police always go in and help the people who've glued themselves get off? I'd leave them there. Don't remove them. I know it's going to be inconvenient for cars, but leave them there. Don't help them out. Let's see how long they actually do stay there. That kind of protest I've got no time for. The people who throw painted art, even though it's protected, I've got no time for. They're all idiots. So where does that leave us? What's acceptable and what isn't? What's acceptable to me is different to what's acceptable to you. There's been a lot of people who have said the Palestinian protest should not have happened on the Harbour Bridge. I don't have a problem with that. The week later, we had the City to Surf Fun Run. There are events that happen on the bridge all the time. So, you know, organised protests, the big marches and stuff, that's part of our democracy. It's the little ones. It's the people the vegans who go in and have a go at shoppers trying to buy their meat. You have a belief. I don't share that belief. Leave me be. Hold a sign up outside. Don't go and interrupt people's lives. I think I've made a point. I'm not really sure tonight.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
For tonight's Random Live Shot of the Day, we're going truly out of this one, and I know some of you had a sneak preview at the start of the show. This is a live stream from the International Space Station, showing our planet from around 400 kilometres up, one orbit every 90 minutes. And just in case you're curious, the temperature out there swings from a frigid minus 157 in the shade to a blazing plus 120 degrees Celsius in full sun. Definitely not beach weather, even on play in the sand day. Look at that. You know, I was going to say earlier I was watching this live feed just before the show, and I could see some astronauts doing some work. They were on a spacewalk, but I think they've all gone inside. It must have been a short one. Isn't that fantastic? Oh, no, there they are. Hang on, there they are. Look, having a bit of a good look there. Fantastic. All right, let's take a look at some feedback coming through. I've got this one from... Where did I see it? I saw Cindy say something... I've lost my feedback. You know what? We might have to come back to feedback. Cindy, by burning the flag like that, they're not just wanting controversy and not interested in the cause at hand. Ma, look at me, look at me. All right, I think we've got a few problems with our social media and our screens. Everything's gone haywire. Are we all good, Amanda? Is the logo not working behind the screen? Well, that's problematic. All right. That's the perils of being live. But we'll work it out. I'm sure we'll work it out. All right. In a moment, when we come back, I am going to speak when we come back. I'm about to go to it. She's standing by. We've got Kate Miller-Heidke, and I am also going to show you what happens when a bear meets a sport mascot. And I'm going to talk about tonight on 7 News in Melbourne. There was this incident where a player poked his finger up the bum of another player. I've got some things to say about that, but I'll get through this interview first. All right, you are watching McKnight Tonight, and we will get to your feedback. We'll sort out our technical problems and get to your feedback on the other side of Kate Miller-Heidke.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, The Voice has returned to our screens with more show-stopping performances and amazing talent. Now in its 14th season, the show continues to draw big crowds for Channel 7. Kate Miller-Heidke is back for her second season as judge and joins me now. Kate, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Now, this is your second season on The Voice. How have you settled in?
Look, it felt so great this year. I mean, season 1 for me was just a whirlwind. It was such a massive learning curve. Like, I'd never done television like that before. And yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, I loved it, but it was a lot. It was overwhelming. And this time around, I guess I knew what to expect. I knew what was expected of me, and I just felt so confident. And I was the only judge returning for the second year, so I had three new coaches with me.
Well, that's it. They're coming into your house this time, so there has been a shake-up of the judging panel. How have you found that?
Yeah. Look, amazing. Yeah, I know. Then they were asking me for advice. I'm like, what? I just got here. I don't know. But, they were all so lovely and warm, and we're all great mates now, Richard and Ronan and Mel and I.
There's always this criticism with shows like The Voice that surely we've only got so much talent in Australia. We do see, though, during these blind auditions that there is still some amazing talent out there that haven't been discovered, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're being born every day, but also a lot of people have amazing voices, amazing talent, but they haven't felt ready yet to put that out into the world. And then, they get to a point where they are ready. There's no shortage of talent in this country. It's overflowing. So many people love to sing. So many people love music. And this show is a celebration of that.
Well, take your own career. Are you surprised at how big you've become in Australia, considering some of your music has been a little offbeat at times, but you've just been embraced by the Australian public? Is that okay to say it that way?
Yeah, no, sure. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, no, look, I'm so grateful that it seems to have worked out this way. I don't know how. Like, I think it's a lot of luck and timing and just basic perseverance and the fact that I can't do anything else. So I've had to stick with music all these years. I think, part of it might be the fact that I'm interested in different things as an artist. So when my pop career was in a lull, I could do things like opera and music theatre. And just having different strings to my bow, I guess, and now television. I think that has helped in terms of having a long career. But, touch wood, you can't take anything for granted in this business.
Well, you certainly can't. But I don't want to sound condescending here, but you have been a revelation on The Voice, because I wasn't sure what to expect. You're such a nice and lovely person, but you have been able to give that criticism when needed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you. Maybe I'm not that nice if you got to know me before. I think, and I felt this year particularly more than ever, just the need for honesty. Nobody wants to watch a show where people are always, glossing over the truth, or people are like just endlessly positive. What's it called? Toxic positivity. I think I just, say it how I see it, or I try to.
Well, you certainly have done that, and it's made it very watchable. And how have you found the new international judges, like working with Richard Marx and Mel C and Ronan Keating returning? So what's that been like?
It's been such a treat, honestly. I mean, they're all such incredible artists, global superstars. But they're so warm and generous, just lovely people. And I think, the chemistry between us was really great. I love that they can all laugh at themselves, and they can take it, but they can also dish it out. It was so fun working with those three amazing people.
And it shows. Look, Australian artist, you're an Aussie artist, so I'm going to throw this one at you. There's been this whole controversy over whether international artists like Taylor Swift and the like should be using Aussie artists. Now, we know that New South Wales is actually trying to be proactive by giving discounts on stadiums to international artists who book Aussies. Do you think it's important that Aussie artists become the warm-ups for international artists, or should it just be left up to the singer?
I think that would be a great thing, actually. I think, yeah, that's a win-win. I mean, why wouldn't they use Australian artists? Yeah,
It's better
look,
than
I hadn't- I
mandating it,
hadn't-
isn't it? Because if they say Taylor Swift can't use Sabrina Carpenter, but she's incentivized to use an Aussie, it's not the big
Yeah.
stick approach.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Yep, that's definitely something that should be done.
Oh, well,
I
good
think
that you're on board. Thank you.
Australian artists said it's been a bit of a tough time, you know, since
Yeah.
COVID. A lot of things haven't recovered. A lot of festivals, as you know, have stopped. A lot of venues are closing down. A lot of artists are struggling to sell tickets to their tours. So, yeah, now is a time where we need the support.
How have you found the recovery from COVID? Because it has been a hard recovery path for artists in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel lucky in that I seem to have kind of dodged the worst of it. But it was a really, really rough time, a really stressful time. I didn't know if the music industry was ever going to come back. I didn't know at that point. And I was in Melbourne as well. So we had the long lockdowns.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine live music ever coming back. I thought, oh my God, am I going to have to, do something else with my life? It was a really terrifying time. And then, yeah, it's really sad that it seems to have been the end for some of these incredible festivals and venues that I thought, were just part of the fabric of Australia, like Splendor in the Grass, and Blues Fest and things like that. It's worrying. Yeah.
Yeah, it has been. What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Well, we are glad that you are doing it, Kate Miller-Heidke. You're doing great on The Voice. I really love your work, so keep it up. The Voice continues on 7 and 7+. It's back tomorrow and then back next week at 7 and 7:30. Check your guides. Kate Miller-Heidke, thanks for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rob.
Okay, I think we've got some feedback. Yeah, okay, we've got the thumbs up. But before we get to the feedback, there is something I want to talk about because there was an incident in an AFL game over the weekend where a player literally poked the bumhole of another player. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Here's how 7 News Melbourne covered the story earlier tonight.
To a developing story now, the AFL Integrity Unit has just wrapped up an investigation into a peculiar on-field incident described as inappropriate touching during a match on Saturday. Chief Football reporter Mitch Cleary is at AFL House tonight, and Mitch, no action will be taken.
Well, Peter, the AFL has been investigating the incident between Brisbane's Henry Smith and Sydney's Nick Blakey over the last 24 hours. The incident taking place late in the first quarter of the game on Saturday at the Gabba. Now, it appears Blakey makes initial contact with Smith after a marking contest, prompting a retaliation from the Lions forward. This vision, the exclusive reverse angle, not seen as part of the match broadcast. Both players and clubs were spoken to today and no further action will be required. This angle, though, is what fans saw on the couch Saturday and shows the speed of the incident in real time. The Swans stressing that neither the club or Blakey have any issue with the incident. It comes after Gold Coast Touk Miller received a one-match ban for what the AFL described as conduct unbecoming for touching the groin area of Dane Zorko back in 2023. But Peter, just confirming off the back of today's investigation, no further case to answer for the Swans or the Lions. Peter?
It's another world to me. In what industry is it okay for you to stick the finger up someone's bum unless you're a doctor doing a prostate exam? Like, seriously. And I don't care whether the Swans have an issue with it or not. The AFL should say this is not acceptable. This is penetration. I'm sorry, can you go back to that photo, Amanda, and leave it up when we get to the last frame? Because his finger is up his bum. And we saw in that clip that they showed earlier that the other guy grabbed his balls, his groin. But that is penetration. It is up there. How is that okay? Isn't the AFL meant to be a family game? Aren't they meant to appeal to family? Again, it's one thing. I get the players' code. You don't want to make a fuss of it. Fine. But that's where the AFL go, this is not acceptable. But they have seen this footage tonight and they have let it go. That is pathetic. John Hopewati did the same thing in the NRL. It was disgusting then and it's disgusting now. All right, let's get on to your feedback, your long-awaited feedback, and let's see what's coming through to McKnight tonight. Restoration Archive says, I'm not a bum expert, but that looks more like he poked his goalies. All right, I'll take your word for that, Restoration Archive. Own Your Own Crazy says, free prostate exams shouldn't happen on the field. I like that one. Not a back-end quickie. Or not the kind of back-end quickie we want tonight. You know, it's okay if it's consensual. Jeanette says the Monday Gremlins in reference to us not being able to get the social media back up a little bit earlier. And apparently my music is a bit soft, so I'll up that a bit. Spencer says, vegetarians, yes, don't yuck my yum. I'm going to Bacon Fest this weekend in Kingaroy, and people on social media have been having a go at me about it. It's easy. Don't eat bacon, but I'm going to. This is the thing. Why is it people like vegetarians and those who really want to protect the environment, they all demand that you have to believe what they believe. You know, like vegetarians especially. They don't eat meat? Fine. It's a personal choice, but don't bring it on me. There should be a law allowing you to slap them down. Own Your Own Crazy says, I bet Amanda wishes she had a 24-hour access to the beep switch. What, like this? Restoration Archive, you can go and get... I was always told a person who swears all the time is a sign of an uneducated mind trying to express himself. Well, again... Oh, that is a bad one for me to have. Radio Notes Podcast says, soon you'll be able to say Jesus Christ in church. Oh, bastards in the pub can be welcome. Fair enough. Travis says, been sworn at frequently in my retail job and people think it's okay. Yeah, it's not okay. You are providing a service and the way people treat customer staff says everything about what that person is really like. That's what I think. Dylan says, Rob using sound effects now brings back memories of the old of the really old bad creaking sound for TV binge box. Yes, I used to say, now it's time to open the binge box door and go, People hated it. It tickled my fancy. You know, I'd completely forgotten about that. Own Your Own Crazy says the Taliban are also an extremist movement. That doesn't mean Palestine is headed the same way. There is no easy fix for this. Positive change starts with a single step. So true. Look, it is a positive step. There's a lot of change to happen, though. There's a lot of change to happen. All right, before we go, I reckon we can fit in a back-end quickie. What do you reckon? You up for a back-end? Not, you know, it's a consensual back-end quickie, not like that AFL game. And this video has a couple of weird things going on. There's a bear. There's a sporting mascot. But what are they doing together? 1 second. No. Well, it's been a great night. Can you find it yet, Amanda? Are we really missing the clip? Did I not load it? I swear. I'm coming over there. Don't make me come over there. This is a good clip. You know what? Is this clip worth it? Probably not. Guess what? I didn't load it up. I need a bourbon. I'm going to drink it in my new McKnight Tonight mug. Everybody, tomorrow is Media McKnight. We will get our shit together in time for Wednesday and have a proper technical issue-free episode of McKnight Tonight. But tomorrow on Media McKnight at 9 o'clock, I am going to take the television news and News Corp to task over the News Media Bargaining Code because I think it's a crock of... Oh. All right, it's good night from McKnight.
It's good.